Hello, this is Doug. I am, it's nighttime here, a little dark. Well, not really dark yet, but it's getting that way. I am at home, but I needed to get a video done for you. The last video I did, yeah, some people really pulled the pitchforks out for it when I said social media is dead. The point of that was you need to realize that you need to understand marketing, not just one tool. And let's talk a little bit more about that right now. It's like too many people believe that they can just do one touch. I mean, I've run into clients that want leads, and what they really want is customers. They want to give you money, and you send them customers. Customers that walk in their door, customers that pick up on the phone and call them, people that order on their website. Which, in some businesses you can do that. In many, there's more of a process to it than that. In many businesses, you have to get them on the phone, you have to get them face to face, you need to get them into your business to actually close them. So it's a multi-step process to make that happen. So you can run, a Facebook or Google or a LinkedIn ad campaign to a landing page, and on that landing page you can trade something or have an appointment with them, and you can capture their information that way. Where they can do that, they can call if they want. You never always want to make your clients able to do business with you as many different ways as they want. But you can run those ad campaigns that way. But a lot of times what happens is the person fills out the form, or they call and leave a voicemail, and they might get called back once or emailed once. Well, obviously that's not enough. Once is not enough. You must follow up with your customers. I have one client, we literally have it set up an entire year that they're sending out information for an entire year, touching on them, because it's a $30,000 sale. So of course you want to do that. The worst thing you can let happen, the worst thing is to never call them at all. The second worst thing is to wait too long, and that happens a lot as well. I was working with a company a couple of years ago where we were getting leads in, and they weren't closing. We didn't know why they weren't closing. And we talked to this, they're like, well, they're cold. And we're like, what do you mean they're cold? And then we found out the process, and these guys weren't actually getting them for 3 or 4 days, and some of them were not contacting them the day they got them anyhow. So it was 4 or 5 days, it'd be a week sometimes before these leads were called back, and of course they were cold. I mean, when somebody's online doing a search, and they click on your ad, and they sign up, you need to reach out to them immediately. You need to reach out to them somehow. Could be a phone call if it fits. It could be an email. It could be a text. It could be some combination of the three. But immediately is when you want to reach out to them, because they're in the frame of mind that they're interested in your product or service. Now, the best way to handle it is to have a landing page, or you can also use the lead forms on Facebook and LinkedIn. Those are great as well, because the people don't have to leave the platform to do it. But you collect the information, and you send them in the email or the text, and typically you'll do an email first. You'll ask them if they want, you get the appointment set up with them. And if they do the appointment at that time, then they get an appointment reminder sequence. Okay, so then I'll follow down that. So they get an appointment reminder sequence up until their appointment, and that should be multiple emails and texts. If somebody's coming into an office, especially if it's a phone call or a video conference, emails are just fine. Text doesn't hurt, but typically emails are fine if it's a video conference. If it's a phone conference, if you have permission to text them. But absolutely, if it's a face-to-face meeting, you want to be texting them. Touch them many times, several times before they show up. If they don't show up, then you touch them several times after that to get it rescheduled. Why do you do that? Well, you paid for the lead up front. They were interested. You need to follow it through. Now, if they don't set up an appointment, you do the same thing. Have multiple emails and texts going to them saying, hey, you signed up, didn't get an appointment. Why don't we get an appointment now? And then you keep touching them through a period. And it depends on what your business is and the client value, how long that is. Like I said, the one client, it's an entire year. We're following up an entire year, but that's a $30,000 sale. A coaching client of mine that has a fitness studio, they follow up for about a week, but it's still in that week. It could be 12 touches, and many people are like, oh my God, 12 times. Well, If at any point the person responds and sets up an appointment or says, hey, stop, I'm not interested, then you stop. But if they don't, you just keep touching them. And it's the same thing with anything. We're all so busy anymore that we need to get touched many, many times. You need to make sure that we get a lot of contacts with the client before we get them to an appointment and after to remind them. Just like webinars. I remember back the day with a webinar that, you'd run a webinar and you'd get 70% show up rate. These days, if you get 30, it's awesome. 20 is not bad, but that 20 to 30% is more likely. And those are people that you paid money to get on the list and to get to the webinar. Now, same thing. Many people they'll pay for this money for this lead, and they'll try to get them to a webinar. They don't show up, and then they don't do anything with that. Same thing. You paid for that lead. Do something with that lead. Remind them about the next webinar. Keep touching them, because once again it comes down to how much the client is ultimately worth. But you want to make sure that you keep touch people, because we're so busy. We're busy. We're cluttered. Especially when you catch someone like on Facebook, where they're scrolling. They're not necessarily in the mode of I want to buy. Those people you're going to have to touch a lot of times, because sometimes it's like, did I sign up for that? What was that thing I signed up for? What's this email all about? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had people sign up for webinars or even sign up for email lists, and you send them an email and they're like, why are you sending me this? And it's like, well, you filled out a form. We sent you an email saying, hey, do you mind if we email you? And you said, yes, that's fine. And then you got an email from us. And then they complain, where did this come from? Happens all the time, because people forget, and we're busy and we forget, and that's okay. We just need to make sure that we stay on top of it, we remind our customers, and always have multiple steps in the process of reminding them and bringing them back. Because once we get them in our funnel, we need to bring them back until they become a customer. Now, okay, they're a customer now. We're done, right? No, you're not done. If you want to really make money as a business, you need to make sure you have cross-sells and upsells. It's the old classic, do you want fries with that? McDonald's was made by, do you want fries with that? The amount of money they make just from that is dramatic. So you need to make sure that once you have a customer, you make sure that you are doing cross-sales, which a cross-sale is selling a complementary product, and upsell is selling a higher priced product. Or getting them to spend more money, both ways. An industry that's really good at this is the beauty industry. I saw a young lady, ran into a young lady with a friend of mine a couple days ago, and we talked about how the beauty industry was great at cross-selling. Oh, geez, I'm getting your hair done. Hey, do you want me to do your nails? Oh man, we should pluck those eyebrows a little bit. So they get all these different services all within the same place. That's a cross-sell. So you want to make sure that you're always making sure that you are getting those additional sales from a customer once they're there. I mean, why do they have gum and magazines at the rack at the grocery store? Because those are impulse items, and it adds to the ticket. They make a lot of money off of those little things. Everything that adds to the ticket. You go to any well-run coffee shop, and you order a drink, and they're going to say, do you want 3 shots or 4? Or hey, would you like to get a muffin or a bagel? That's really what drives the profit of those businesses. It's not the core product. The core product might be why you go in there, but all the pieces around that is where the profit comes from. In a retail store, it might be you buy a gal buys a blouse, and it's like, hey, here's a scarf that goes with it. A guy buys a shirt or a jacket, and they're like, hey, you should get a tie with that. They buy pants, it's a belt. All those upsells make a difference. And, if you're doing it right and you're thinking about your customers and you're making sure that you're providing the right things that they want, they will be glad and they'll be happy with you for helping them complete their purchase and get all the things that they need. So if you do all that right, it works out well. So today we talked about leads, how you need to follow up with them. Make sure you have a follow-up system in place. Typically, that's a customer relationship management system you need to have there. Then we also talked about upsells and cross-sells and why you need to have them. It's the classic, do you want fries with that? It's all about getting more money per customer, getting the customer up front, and then getting more money per customer afterwards. All right, take care.